Hey, what's up guys? So here's the process on how you can find out if you can help your dog if you have any issues. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to diagnose a couple of things. First, we're going to go with personality. Is your dog dominant, submissive, nervous, fearful, etc.? So you need to understand what is the personality of your dog. If it's a dominant dog or is it a nervous dog that's showing dominant behavior, you need to understand this. So you need to think about this, right? So the second thing we are going to go through is personality traits. So is your dog curious, active, lazy, open, closed, etc.? Write down your dog's personality traits so that you can find out how he's acting and you can be able to diagnose stuff later on. So do this now, or at least get a pen and paper and do this when you have a chance. Next up is temperament. Is your dog happy-go-lucky? Is it a fearful dog? Is it a playful dog? Is it aggressive, alert, etc.? There's a lot of different types of temperament, so you need to go in and see if your dog is aggressive or fearful. If it's a happy-go-lucky dog, then it's easier to train. Maybe it's not so much to do with you and how you train. But if it's a fearful dog, what's the reason? You know, so write it down. And we are going to go into a few other things here. Guarding or defensive. Is your dog guarding or being defensive? No. My dog does not react. It's an aversive reaction, so your dog walks away. It's a flight reaction, so my dog flees the scene. Okay, this is important to know. Yes, my dog is guarding or being defensive. Is it resource guarding? Guarding the door, guarding the yard, guarding the owner, etc. You need to understand what kind of guarding or defense your dog is showing. We're going to go to sharpness. This is basically if your dog is being very clear or unclear, if something that the dog doesn't want happens. So we're going to go with no. You have a mild-mannered dog that does not respond that much. That does not respond that much. My English is a little bit off, I'm sorry. Or you have a dog that shows flight response. It's different things. Notice it. Yes, your dog is showing sharpness. My dog is reacting sharply to other dogs. Snaps at people or dogs. Growls, showing teeth, clearly showing warning signals, etc. Write it down. Courage. My dog is tough. So my dog is very powerful, headstrong, will fight anything and anyone, or curious, etc. How tough is your dog? Write it down. My dog does not show a lot of courage and is mild. Is it fearful? Is it aversive? Is your dog seeking protection? Etc. Write it down. Find out all you can think about with your dog right now. How well does your dog respond to leadership? Hard-headed dog or a soft dog? Okay? Hard-headed dog does not respond that well to your leadership, doesn't listen that well. A soft dog or a mild-mannered dog will respond well. A hard-headed dog might respond well if the training is on point. A soft-headed dog will respond well even if the training is not on point. Okay? This pretty much means that if your dog is responsive to leadership, maybe it's a safer dog, or maybe it's just a soft dog that's happy-go-lucky. Write it down. If you have a hard-headed dog, he might challenge your leadership a lot more. And that means that the problem is leadership, not necessarily the dog itself. So when you have written all this down, I can open everything up so that you can, if you want to take a screenshot of this, you can have it open. Sorry. So if you want to take a screenshot right now of the process, hold on 2 seconds. Here, now every folder is open, so you can take a screenshot right now, and you can see how the process is. Okay, so when you've done that, we're gonna fold this one, and we're gonna go up to the main behavioral issues. All right. So you've written everything down about your dog, and now we're going to go into the different types of trouble. There are a lot more types of issues you can have, but you'll see the point in how I'm working. So if you have a fearful or traumatized dog, why is your dog fearful or traumatized? Maybe it's a rescue dog that's been traumatized from before. Maybe your dog has been attacked by another dog. Maybe someone has thrown rocks at it. Maybe it's just a scared dog that's mentally not a very strong dog. Maybe your dog is not socialized. Maybe your dog is not used to other dogs or people. Maybe your dog is in pain. Maybe it's some medical issues. Okay? Write it down, and if you fear that your dog is in pain or has medical issues, go to the veterinarian. Your dog is pulling on the leash. This is the most normal thing that I meet pretty much daily. Why is your dog pulling on the leash? Doesn't recognize you as a leader. A lot of people think that leash pulling is mainly a dog training thing. It's not. It's usually a leadership thing. So your dog doesn't recognize you as a leader. Maybe your dog has never been taught how to walk nicely. Maybe you have a high energy dog with a low activity level. That's pretty much physical frustration. Maybe your dog is mentally frustrated because it's not being fulfilled. Maybe it's a working dog that, like, for example, some huskies or malamutes or dogs that are bred to pull, you're going to have to work hard on having them to walk nicely, but it's still manageable. It's still doable. Maybe it's the tools you use. Maybe if you're a big, strong guy, your dog can walk nicely with any leash. Maybe your wife, who's a petite little lady, will have harder problems with that. Basically, this goes back to the dog doesn't see you as a leader, but it can still be handled with tools. Maybe your dog feels a lack of purpose. This is also very usual. I see this in a lot of dogs. And when you give your dog a free rein, it's going to have the opportunity to be unsatisfied. So that's why we need a purpose. And it's very important for the dog to have a purpose with the walk. So we are closing these two down, and we're going into separation anxiety. Why is your dog showing separation anxiety? You're causing it, right? Most of the time, the owners are the reason why your dog is having separation anxiety. It can be a lack of leadership. This pretty much means that your dog feels that you are more of a sibling than a mom or a dad. This is very common. Lack of proper stimulation. This can actually lead to separation anxiety because they're not stimulated, not physically okay, they're not mentally okay, so they develop bad habits and it spirals into a bad thing, and suddenly you have separation anxiety. Again, lack of purpose. If your dog does not have a purpose, spirals into a bad thing, and you can have you can end up with separation anxiety. You're humanizing your dog. So you're treating your dog like you treat your kids, like having your dog in your bed, or that you're babying your dog and you're talking with a really sweet voice to your little baby. This can cause your dog to really feel uncomfortable, and it leads to separation anxiety because it doesn't recognize you as a leader. So again, very, very common and very, very fixable. Your dog is unhappy. Okay, this feels horrible though when your dog is unhappy. So what you need to see, take a look at is if your dog has any pain, then you go to the vet, right? If your dog is unhappy because it's physically unfulfilled, that's where you need to work. If your dog is happy because it's mentally unfulfilled, that's where you need to work. Old age. Okay, maybe your dog is tired. Medical issues. Go to the vet. Okay, and there are a lot of different things you can write down here. So write down everything you can think of and just make sure that you get most of it down on paper so you can analyze it a little bit later on. Failure to listen to commands. Okay, like recall, for example. Why? Basically, your dog doesn't know the command. You haven't trained it enough. Okay, so it's not solidified. If your dog does not recognize you as a leader and you have a dog that's hard-headed or comfortable with their own self-esteem, they're going to challenge your leadership. So then the command itself isn't necessarily the problem, but the leadership is. This is very, very common. Hearing loss. I've seen this several times. My oldest dog, Kira, she's starting to get a little bit of a hearing loss, or it's a little bit of a hard of hearing, which means that she's not going to listen as well as she did when she was younger. You need to consider this. Is your dog being like not listening to you because they don't recognize you as a leader, they don't know the command, or did they genuinely not hear you? Medical issues. Go to the vet. Same with hearing loss. Check with the vet. Mentally not stimulated your dog. Okay, this is very common. Physically not stimulated your dog enough. Also very common. So all these are common issues to why your dog do not listen to your commands. Okay, so write them down. What do you think? It's not that important that you are spot on, but you need to be able to find a reason that seems plausible to you. You can always go back and start from another place. So if you feel like maybe your dog just doesn't know the command, and you start training it, and your dog still doesn't respond to it when you're not in training, like for example the come here command, the recall or sit, then your dog doesn't recognize you as a leader. So then you have to work as a on your leadership. All right? So you can always work yourself back. That's the beauty of having a system, guys. Aggression towards people and or animals. Why? This is important. Why is your dog showing aggression? No trust. Okay? If you have a dog that has no trust in you, remember that your dog, in nature, your dog, or in nature, leadership basically requires you to lead your dog and guide your dog and protect your dog. So if your dog does not trust that you will lead them or protect them, this can be, for example, when you meet other dogs that are not stable. They're going to show aggression because they don't trust that you can protect them. This is a leadership problem. Your dog has low self-esteem. Okay, again, leadership. Protect your dog. Your dog has been traumatized. Maybe your dog has been bitten before. Maybe that needs a lot of work to get over for your dog. Maybe it's a medical issue. Maybe your dog is not mentally stimulated or physically stimulated. A lot of reasons here that you can come up with. Don't have to be the reasons I put on the screen. Write it down and note it for yourself. Alright? So now I'm going to open everyone up again so you can have a screenshot if you want to do that. Remember that these are just examples. So you might write more on your form. Now, here's everything. Take a screenshot right now and then you can have a workflow on where you need to put in some work. Okay? So I'm going to fold this and then we're going to go to the solution. Okay, so you now have your issues in place. You know what you need to work with. So can you solve it? Yes? Go do it. No. Seek help. Maybe do more research. Right? So this is the same for all of them. This is how you go about solving your problems one by one. Basically, you just answer the questions. Okay? We're gonna unfold or fold this. And do you want help? Right? No, I do not want help. Okay, because you know the answer, that's cool. Then if you do that, go do it. Because you don't want to spend money on your dog or you genuinely can't afford help. Go to this group, right? It's a Facebook group. It's called Dog Tribe, Practical Advice on Dog Training and Health and Canine Behavior. Search it up and you will find a lot of good stuff in there, and you can ask questions as well. Okay? So we're going to fold this. And yes, you do want help. You can contact me. You can go to Instagram. I'm very active there. It's it's actually Alfred Carlson, so I need to fix this. In one word, Alfred Carlson, straightforward. On Facebook, it's alfred.carlson.5. You can send me a friend request if you want to. If you don't want to do that, send me a personal message. That's fine. Remember that if you don't add me as a friend, I don't respond to everyone. So it might be as well, you can just send me a PM first. But remember this, on Facebook, messages from people who are not your friends will go into a separate folder, so it might take me a few days to get back to you. Again, you want help, you want to know more, Facebook group, Dog Tribe. Practical advice on dog training, health, and canine behavior. Go search that up and you will find a lot of resources and you can ask questions. Alright? So, this is how I work with everyone, with my clients and with people in general. And it yields great results because it clarifies what you need to do. So you don't need to have a fancy computer program to do this. I use something called MindNode, you can just use a piece of paper to map out the process for yourself and see where you need help or if you can actually solve it yourself. So again, if you don't know what to do, you can contact me on Instagram. I'm very active there. Alfred Carlson, straightforward. Facebook, alfred.carlson.5. Facebook group, Dog Tribe, Practical Advice on Dog Training, Health, and Canine Behavior. I hope this helps, guys, and I'm going to leave this up on YouTube so you can see it pretty much forever unless something happens and I take it down. And maybe I will make this a new video. Maybe I'll add more to this as your response come back. So enjoy the process and start working on it, and feel free to leave me a comment and get back to me. See what happens, how it works for you. Alright, have fun, guys. We will talk a lot more soon.